morning. It's a beautiful day.
What's up? It is nice.
It'd be a nice day to be in the lake, wouldn't it?
Well, if it weren't for all the weeds, they haven't quite grown up to size yet, but they're coming fast.
You've kind of answered my question about what can be done about the weeds. But are there, in different areas of the lake, are there particularly different kinds of weeds, or is it all just kind of one kind of weed that grows in the lake?
To my knowledge, I can't tell you the name of the weed right now, but it's all over the lake, and the other weed starts to grow later in July. So the weed problem is all over the lake. It's in the north end and it's in the south end.
Well, but there's different kinds of weeds at different seasons.
Well, there's I guess several different species of weeds that grow in the lake. I'm not really an authority on that.
Well, then you probably wouldn't know the answer to this question, but would there be different
treatments?
There you go. Thank you. For the different weeds in the different parts of the lake.
When they sprayed last time, I believe they used Diquat, and I believe there's also a product out now called Sonar, which is available.
Oh, yeah.
And that pretty well eliminated all the species of weeds that were there.
And all the people, too.
They had to wait a week to swim, I think.
I do have a little problem with that. Are there no natural enemies of these weeds that we don't have to use chemicals?
That's where the weevils and moths came in several years ago, and I think some Saturday, Reed has to have Jeff Deers, our watershed coordinator, on, and he will give you specific answers to your questions. So Jeff Deers is going to be speaking at Stockton Institution this summer too on this very thing. And so I really can't answer those kind of technical questions. I can only tell you what we've been doing with the money and what my feelings are, or what may happen down the road. And I do know I have family in Burtis Bay, and when they did spray, they certainly were behind that. And certainly the number spray up near Chautauqua Institution, a lot of people get the water out of the lake. That's not going to happen. It just isn't going to happen there. From what I'm being told, they'll develop the lake into different zones, and that's part of the aquatic vegetation study, and they'll be treating different zones differently. And but no, they will never spray where there's going to be water intake. Well,
because I have found throughout our history that a lot of the problems we have, like when the eagles disappeared, it was because we were using certain chemicals to kill
DDT.
Well, that was the one that was used in that particular instance. But
that's outlawed.
Now it is. But there's been other instances where different chemicals, although they solve the problem, they create more problems. And natural, I believe that if you can find a natural enemy rather than a chemical solution, it's usually much better for your environment.
It reminds me of those jumping carp.
Yeah.
You ever seen that? They were put in, introduced to eat the weeds. They eat weeds, I think. I'm pretty sure. And now the weeds are gone, but everywhere you go with your boat, you get these huge 50-pound carp jumping on you.
Yeah, there was a video on YouTube about that. But no, I will say in my business on land, people used atrazine for years. Now they've developed trizine-resistant weeds, and they have to change their chemicals. So
it must be very expensive.
I understand that.
Because you must have to, you think of the size of the lake.
Well, yeah.
How it dilutes whatever you put in it. You must have to put in a couple of car loads to do a corner.
But, dredging is an option too. I mean, we can't even dredge. And
why can't you dredge, may I ask?
Here again, you've got it. New York State owns a lake. You've got to have approval from whatever you do from the Department of Environmental Conservation. Now, I think Soil Water Board has done some minor dredging on some of the inlets, but that's the inlet. That's not the lake. So,
what is the problem with the dredging?
Cost, and then what is down there when we start taking stuff out of the lake? What's there? I mean, is it going to be contaminated soil? What do you do with the material? I'm sure DEC will have an answer for that question.
Yeah, no.
You let it sit
there may be logs. Someone mentioned they used to put logs down the lake.
You let it sit there and poison the lake some more.
Well, we don't. I would not say that, but I think here again, dredging is an option. At least open up the channel of the Chattacoin, so we get some flow through the lake. So these are just options we've talked about. But here again, I want to stress it's got to be approved. And here again, eventually we're going to need some help from the federal and state government, because if people really start leaving, we've got a problem. I compare it to a major problem just like NRG in Dunkirk.
Yeah.
I mean, we cannot let NRG leave Dunkirk. We cannot let our lake die.
That is very
There's
true.
too much wealth and too much tax base and too many jobs. So we just cannot let our lake die. And
letting any lake die is
right.
unconscionable for the future.
Right.
Correct.
Well, thank you, caller. We've got 2 more calls.
Okay,
so
thank you.
I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to give you $5 off at the Lakeview.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay. Send me a stamped self-addressed envelope.
we've got calls. That's good.
We got more calls backed up.
We haven't even got the county home yet.
We haven't even talked about the budget and the
Yes.
increase, the massive increase in taxes. Good morning, caller. Thank you for waiting.
Good morning.
What's up?
I have a question, Fred.
Good.
The New York State owns Chautauqua Lake.
Correct.
New York State can tell you what we can and what we cannot do
Correct.
to the lake. How much money does New York State give us every year to help us with the lake?
Not a lot. I think maybe Senator Young gave $50,000 this year in a memorandum grant, but you remember they get all the boat registrations and they get 50% of the sales tax collected on that lake.
Yeah, well, that's Senator Young.
I understand
That's
that.
right. It's not even the
Is
state,
Chautauqua Lake a regular item in the state budget annually?
Correct.
No, yes?
They should have a revenue stream
They
that comes
should,
back.
but do they?
No.
Uh-huh.
Ah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know where they can go.
Yeah, but I can't say that on TV.
I know. I can't either. Have a good day, guys.
Thank you,
Thanks.
caller, and hang in there.
I
Thank you.
will.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, that's what people think about this this insanity going on, this battling New York State
Right.
to figure out how we can somehow partially clear the bloom,
That's
lake,
right.
and it's getting worse and worse
Yep.
and worse.
And the algae bloom is something that
yeah, you
we
were
don't-
talking about that. What about what is this algae?
Well,
bloom thing?
it comes in and you get algae bloom and you're really debatable whether you should swim in it. You maybe close the beach. Here again, someone smarter than I can discuss that, such as Jeff Deers or our watershed coordinator or one person from the health department. But I have not been out on the lake, but by the time I come back from the next program, I will have had my boat out on the lake, hopefully, and had some time to do my own little survey.
You might still be out there.
Well, hopefully not. But you got another caller?
Caller, are you still here? No, they left. They'll be back.
The other thing we always talk about is a county home.
County home, which is
And we've got a special meeting coming up July 16th.
right.
Marcus and Millchap, I urge the public to come. We'll be making a presentation to the legislature on their findings. The other report that's running with this, CGR, I believe, I have not heard when that report will be out. But I just know that I haven't talked to the county executive. We had a meeting scheduled, but I know that we do have a person interested in purchasing the property, hiring the employees, paying taxes on it. So I'm really interested, and I hope the listening community are interested in finding out what is out there for the purchase of this.
We had Lori Cornell on recently, and she says, well, you and the county exec, Greg, are the hottest people to sell it, apparently.
Well, I think it's a business decision on my part.
Uh-huh.
And I think you'll find when you've got a person willing to pay over $20 million, pay taxes on it, hire the employees that are there, and continue to run it by the guidelines set forth in that proposal, I think you got to take a long and hard look at it.
Yeah, but as Lori pointed out, 80% of the people there are on Medicaid, and you cannot get into a home if you're broke. It's very hard. They have very few beds for those people for Medicaid. This is going to be a major loss to the impoverished senior citizens of Chautauqua County because they're not going to have a place to go.
Let's wait until we get the proposal to see if that really is true. All I'm asking, we don't have the votes to sell it now anyways, so it doesn't really matter.
Who's voting against it? How, is it a party vote or what?
I don't think we have more than 14 votes to sell it. It's going to take 17 votes.
Out of 7, you need 17.
You need 17 votes out of 25 legislators to do
I guess people figure that these poor old seniors are there and they're destitute, they have no money. And maybe there should be a place for them to go in Chautauqua County.
Well,
Enough said, we got 2 more calls coming.
we do.
Do you think we'll ever get to this, really?
Well, that's good. We got calls.
We brushed onto it anyway.
Well, we talk about a lot of things on this program.
Sure we do.
Keep the thing
Good morning,
moving.
caller. I'm sorry to keep you waiting.
Good morning, no problem.
What's up?
I have a question for your guest.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about the county home, if the county home is sold, will the new owner be able to expand whereas the county can't because of the limitations by the state?
That is one of the great positives that will come with the sale of the county home. Assisted living. And here again, they will expand what's there at the county home. They will probably expand the pediatric care and do more, not the pediatric, but the old
Geriatric.
Yeah, and expand it to an assisted living facility. So I can see that campus looking a whole lot different, and we're still going to take care of our seniors. That's not the issue here, but everyone wants to scare the seniors, and that's the last thing we want to do.
I'm scared, Fred.
Well,
I'm a senior.
I'm a senior too. I'm 64.
But you're rich. I'm not.
Yeah, right. But no, we'll definitely have an expansion there, and I would hope the 16th of July that maybe we can ask questions, which I assume we can, to this purchaser that's made an offer. I think it's out there, what his plans are. I think that's a legitimate question. So I see nothing but an improvement in the Dunkirk area for assisted living and that county home.
Can you tell us what time and where that meeting is?
Yeah, it's the July 16th in the legislature chambers. It'll be in the paper. I believe it's a 6:30 meeting, and the meeting is specifically for Marcus and Millchap to present the options that we have gotten on the county home.
Okay, thank you very much.
Now, where's the, tell them where the legislature building is.
Well, the legislature building is in the Jurassic office building.
Jurassic office building.
It's the 3rd floor. You take the elevator up, the building will be open. You won't have to go security that night, but just park in the main parking lot and walk in the front doors, take the elevator to the 3rd floor, get off and take 2 lefts, and the legislature chambers is there. I'm sure we'll have a full chamber. I hope we don't have a lot of protesters, but that's their right. But we're just looking at the options that night, because the second half of this equation is the CGR study is going to be done. They haven't announced when that will be out, but that's the group that's coming in and looking at all our options. So,
well, you can stop protests easily now, Fred. The Congress secretly passed in the middle of the night and signed by Obama as a new law that if there is a Secret Service man there, you cannot protest. Or you'll go to jail for a felony.
These people that have been over
just
there,
bring the Secret
I
Service
probably
man.
shouldn't call them protesters. They've just made their feelings known. So that's not a problem. But I know the hallway gets full, and there's just a certain amount of people you can let in the chambers. And so I think the meeting that night, there probably won't be a privilege of the floor. It's just strictly a meeting to hear what's
In other words, no one will be able to speak anyway, right?
Well, I don't know that for a fact, but it's not really, it's just a meeting to present the stuff, because Mrs. Cornell wanted it public, which was fine, because I was scheduled a couple weeks ago with the original committee to sit down, and we found that there seems to be a lot of people that are interested. Fine, we'll make it a public meeting. That's not a problem.
That's more air. The freedom of information, what is the open light meeting? What do you call that? The sunshine law.
Sunshine law.
And various things are very good, because they do make it more public.
Well, that was a problem Mrs. Cornell's the other night. She wanted to have a caucus, and we can't caucus. I mean, so.
What do you mean a caucus?
Well, she wanted to get the lake issue discussed openly, and caucuses is an open caucus. Well, there really isn't such a thing, because once you have a majority.
But this isn't the lake issue. This is.
No, it was. That's what it was referencing. This.
Okay.
But you mentioned the sunshine laws. You just can't go into executive session and discuss only certain things.
And they all do anyway.
Well, we don't. I mean, we didn't. There was no reason.
Well, we have an employee involved, and that suddenly becomes executive session.
Well, and a personnel issue that's
Well,
but you can't make any decision. You just discuss it.
Yeah, I've been on so many committees. I've learned all the tricks too.
Yeah.
Fred Croscut tells it like it is. He's our past majority leader or something over there, chairman, and he's very active. What committees do you serve on, Fred?
I'm chairman of the Planning and Economic Committee. I serve on the Stafford County Soil and Water Board. And now, through my position, which I find very interesting, I'm on the IDA board.
Now, what's the IDA? That's grants, I know that. But
Industrial Development Agency.
Which has really been taking a black eye lately.
Well, but we won't get into all that today, I don't think. But no, we're in the business of lending out money. And we're in our business of keeping employees in this area, and we're in the business of expanding businesses.
Yeah, well, there was a very harsh criticism in the papers indicating that a lot of these loans have